Carey, you want to start?
Mike, this was an interesting game.
Obviously not.
Because you started.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Hit me!
Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome to this late night post-game podcast. Your whole crew with you, and actually we have a special surprise for you. For everyone that has been going on iTunes and complaining that someone is not part of the post-game podcast, we welcome in a man who's been, I'm told, very jealous of the intro to this show because of the Wedding Crashers element. Joshua McCuistion joins us from his home base. Welcome, Josh. You're on the post-game show. Finally.
I'm really excited to finally be here. Love the intro, really do. I have to ask though, Carey, did you stumble through that just kind of as an homage to me? I mean, was that just kind of a little tribute?
Why would you say that?
Because I stumble through this shit sometimes. It just happens.
You think like I was missing you, and I said if I put this in there, it'll make me less of a horrible human being? That Josh is not allowed to be part of the post-game podcast?
No.
Is that how it played out in your mind? Because I assume that it sounds like that's how it did.
Okay, see, I can already hear it. This is new. I'm new ground. Clearly, it's a test to your Carey that I deal with at the late night pod, so I'm going to be ready for it. Okay.
Actually, that's not true because I have started drinking my Coop Ale House Oktoberfest. Eddie's way ahead of me right now.
I didn't
on his
mention
F5 IPA.
During the midweek, I finally had a Coop Ale when I was back in Oklahoma last week.
Really?
So yeah, I had several of them actually. So got into that pretty good one night. So it really enjoyed it. It was F5 is what we were drinking, and that was good stuff.
That's my shit. I'm drinking one right now.
I had a buddy that was making like a beer old fashioned with him. Like he was kind of mixed. I'd never had it before, but it was damn good. And then we, drank a couple just on their own as well. So it was good.
I'm going to have to get the recipe on that.
It was legit. It really was. And I'm a big old fashioned guy. So it was good stuff.
Well, the Sooners win at 66-33 over Baylor. We also welcome in Bob Prisbillo, who is with us, finished off his riding for the night. Bob, you want to catch us up real quick on what we've got on the site from you after the game tonight?
Yeah, I looked at a couple storylines to follow. One, obviously, the incredible afternoon of Kyler Murray towards the 24 hours before the game with the rumors swirling, his gambling addiction, he's missing class, like all the stuff.
Gambling addiction?
Like all that stuff that was out there in the last 24 hours, and he just missed the first years, and then he just absolutely takes over. And then for the second story, we looked at the baby steps made by the defense and perhaps emergence of a couple playmakers.
You shut your mouth. Mike Stoops should be fired after this game.
Tre Brown and Caleb Kelly really came up big, and that's a sign that when you have depth and you trust them, those sort of things can happen where guys look fresh, they don't look beat up, they don't look tired, they're not hurt, and they show exactly what they can do.
We should probably have a sponsored segment like where if Josh, you want to be a part of the podcast all the time, I'll put you to work. You should have to do like the message board report after every post game.
Ooh, I like that.
Like what's the report on the boards? Because I mean, to be honest, as soon as the game is over, the press conference. Here's like my schedule is: I rush back to my car, which is all the way across campus, because that's where I like my parking space. I'm not complaining, my calc, but I need exercise, so it's good. But if the traffic's not bad, I get home. Then we do my post-game show on the Sports Animal. Then we set up for this one, and now we're doing this. So I really haven't had a chance to look at the boards. I'm curious what the take is right now. The temperature.
It really, I think it's really been kind of level-headed so far. I think a lot of people, but they're torn because you get into this conversation of, yeah, they give up 33 points. They gave up 500 yards. Like there's all these things, but at the same time, a lot of those points and yards came long after the game was decided. Came against a lot of backups there, kind of later in the game.
Which pissed Mike Stoops off, by the way. He took a shot at Baylor in the postgame, if you want to hear it real quick.
Sure, fire.
Overall the pressure was good. Coverage was good for most of the night. There's a couple third downs I thought we broke down, but overall I thought our guys competed well, and it was a typical Big 12 game, another 100 snaps, and they kept throwing it and throwing it. They didn't want to leave, I guess. They must like it here in Norman. So, and I said, we're going to keep blitzing then. You want to keep throwing it? We're going to keep coming after you. So I thought that was a little different there at the end and on a fourth down, but, so be it.
What you want to say was, I thought that was bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was saying, and everybody on the sidelines was saying that as well.
Thought it's
Get
stupid.
this goddamn thing over.
Like Lincoln Riley, what was it? Second down when he took a knee on the other end before they got the ball back and started throwing it everywhere. So it's second down. He takes a knee. Then they we're not going to run. It's like I don't know if they screwed up their clock management.
I know it wasn't even close.
Then they ran the third down play, and then they kicked the field goal. And then you thought, okay, well, Baylor's going to get the ball back, and just let's just show some mercy, get this thing over with, and move on. And it was just Baylor just dropping back and throwing and dropping back and throwing against the backups.
And surely, did Mike send a message to Caleb Kelly, because he damn near killed Charlie Brewer and all that?
Lincoln Riley didn't show any.
What is Brewer even doing on the field at that point?
Lincoln Riley showed no remorse for that hit against Charlie Brewer.
As well, he shouldn't.
Yeah,
Who cares?
He literally said that's football.
That's the opposing quarterback.
I had no problem with that. I don't mean to make that sound bad on Caleb Kelly at all.
No.
But, I mean,
that was one of the questions asked. Is were you concerned about Brewer?
It was funny though. Caleb Kelly's out there playing like it's the goddamn Super Bowl in the fourth quarter. I mean, he was flying around.
What is the Rob Deerdeck? What does they call that? A scorpion?
I don't know.
Like when you're on your skateboard and you hit the ground and your head hits first, like head and neck, and then your legs come up from behind you.
Reference.
Like, I love Rob Deerdeck. I'm sorry. I will watch that stupid show all the time.
Rest in peace.
Big black Christopher Big Black Boykin died. But no, it was like a scorpion, like in the skateboard world when Caleb Kelly hit Charlie Brewer.
Check it out. I know Eddie sent out a nice gif of that one.
Yeah, it was really good. He played really well, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but that is interesting. It's an interesting spot for them to be in. I mean, shit, if he plays like that, you got to figure out a way to get him on the field. And I know it was quote-unquote scrub time, but
Curtis Bolton was second in the team in tackles, and he led at halftime with 10.
I'm not saying take Curtis Bolton
I'm just saying you're going to get it started, Eddie.
But it wasn't even scrub time. He played almost the entire second half.
Okay, yeah.
No, they basically said, look, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was the fact that they played 87 snaps of very physical football last week.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like, I was just waiting for, like, Kenneth Mann was out in the game. That was a surprise to even us. Ben Powers was out. That had kind of been thrown out there a little bit. I'll give it up to Red Zone a little bit. I'm not even going to talk about the meltdown that happened Friday night because I think we're all over. I mean,
Friday night meltdowns are not my favorite thing in the entire world.
And I knew it was going to be just something just ridiculous. Like when I first heard that it was missing some practice time, my first thought was, well, it's going to be a stupid suspension. Like it's not even going to matter, but everybody's going to lose their minds because it had gotten to the point where once it got out there was nobody I could confirm it through. I mean, they didn't, and I actually went up to Joe Castiglione after the game and lodged a complaint. Like, it was like a fan lodging a complaint to Joe Castiglione. I just said, Joe, this secrecy stuff is out of control. When you have multiple people being announced as starters that are wearing street clothes, like, why does there have to be so much secrecy? Why can't someone know that this is the starting lineup, a few minutes before the game or something? A couple of hours.
It made no sense. They're doing the Love starting line. You have Kyler, you have Ben, you have Kenneth. Then you see Ben and Kenneth in sweatpants going to the coin toss.
It's just so stupid.
The coin toss was the strangest thing, too, because as Lincoln Riley referenced, you have...
Yes, 5 captains.
You have 5 captains. Rodney Anderson wasn't even... I don't even know if
his knee is. He's having to.
He can't come on the sidelines.
No, they don't want him on the sidelines.
Okay, that makes sense.
After you have your surgery, and you're just getting over.
That makes sense.
You know the trauma involved there. They don't want you anywhere near.
That makes perfect sense.
The
And then
possibility of getting
you have
hit.
Kenneth Mann and Ben Powers out there that aren't even in uniform. They're just wearing their jersey tops, and it was so strange. They have 5 captains, and there's only 2 that can play, and one's a kicker.
I barely arrived by kickoff because I was dealing with Friday night customer service issues still leading up to the game. Josh can fill you in on this because he was getting the emails that I was sending out. But who took out Kyler Murray's jersey for the coin toss?
Yeah, I was really
disappointed.
disappointed.
Orlando Brown wasn't there.
Yeah, I was really disappointed they didn't show Kyler Murray the same.
He's not a
Somebody
captain.
taking out a number
Yeah, that's
one
true. He
jersey.
wasn't- he's not a captain. He's not a
Yeah, but he
captain.
was suspended for bullshit reasons or whatever. I mean,
Suspended for a series, which I'm going to be honest, I think it's hilarious that people get so triggered that it was just a series. Like, oh well, what's he learned from that?
oh, I've got your Monday hot takes that I'm ready to. Okay,
Perfect.
let's hear from Lincoln Riley talking about the suspension. Can we even call it a suspension? I feel ridiculous calling it a suspension.
The sitting down of someone.
Yeah, the series off. Whatever. Here he is.
He played good. You know, he handled the situation before the game well. Didn't freak out like I'm sure the rest of America did. It just was what it was, and that's what we talked about after it happened. Was, hey, here's the deal. We got to get past the disappointment. Of course, he was disappointed, but he handled it well, played very well. Really saw the field. Continues to throw the ball, especially down the field, so well. And then a couple times when when they did get some pressure, things weren't there. You saw a little bit of the juice that he has. It's pretty unique. So obviously played well. He's growing. Was his best performance so far.
Were you disappointed, Lincoln? What is the situation? I mean, when didn't he start?
He set his alarm wrong on Thursday night. Was with his mom, and mom was in town, and they were spending some time together, and just set his alarm wrong. And we have a policy. We practice here on Friday mornings. We have a policy that if you're late to that practice, if you're a starter, you don't start. If you're a guy that we're dressing, then you don't travel. So it's just a policy. It's something we stick by. Wasn't anything egregious. Wasn't a big issue. Wasn't a huge issue behind our walls. I mean, we knew Austin was going to play the first series, and then Kyler was going to go from there.
You disappointed he put you in that position to have to make that choice?
I mean,
things happen.
A little bit. There's things happen. If it happens any other time during the week, you just do it. You probably, run a guy a little extra, move on. But that's just a big policy that we've had with that, doing that morning practice the way we do it. So no, I'm not disappointed. I mean, there's 2 different kinds of mistakes. There's egregious ones that are intentional. You know what? Sometimes I set my alarm wrong too. And it happens. It happened. We dealt with it, move on. It was not a very big deal, like I said, within these walls at all.
What time do you practice on Friday mornings?
7:30.
I know you said it wasn't the most egregious mistake, but how late do you have to be to that practice for it to be?
I'm not gonna. He was not very late. It was not a big deal. But I'm not gonna give a play-by-play on it. He was late enough that it didn't affect any of our preparation, but late enough that we needed that policy went into effect.
We do have some further digging. Let us know exactly what happened to Kyler Murray's alarm clock and how off it was.
Kyler, what'd you do with your alarm? Just set it for PM instead of AM? Or?
I wish, but no. No, it's just an hour later.
Boom!
I mean, I guess the A's.
Does that
God
mean he
damn it.
showed up? Stop being Josh over there for 2 seconds, will you? Sorry. Did he show up an hour late to practice because his alarm was out, or does he get up 2 hours normally before practice and he just got up 1?
I'm not gonna say I'm not buying it, but I might not be buying it. I mean, and I really don't think if it really was a big deal. I think that Riley's not out here running a renegade program or whatever. I think that it was definitely something that was within means, but I don't know if I'm buying that it was all good and well as they're trying to smooth it over.
All about having your mom coming into town and spending a nice evening and forgetting to set your clock correctly.
Yeah, I guess.
You want to know my Colin Cowherd hot take?
Oh, your theory?
Oh,
You have a
yes.
theory?
Yes.
Someone tell me, why does Kyler Murray not have any friends on the team that care about him?
Oh, yeah.
That would
That's great.
get upset that he is not awake and where he's normally supposed to be at practice? It's almost like the NFL draft movie. What was the name of that movie with Kevin Costner?
I never saw that.
Draft day.
Draft day, when they said that no one called the Callahan guy on his birthday that was supposed to be the number one quarterback from Nebraska or whatever. Or his teammates didn't come to his birthday party or something like that.
Maybe he's just a loser.
But the thing about it is none of this matters because Kyler Murray has already got a professional baseball contract.
Yeah,
Like, you can't sit him down and say, "Oh, this is going to look really bad for the NFL scouts." No, like
I'm good. I don't play that sport.
He's like,
I already got
"Suck it.
drafted.
I'll do what I want."
That's basically what he did. And, I will note that this has happened before. I think he was supposed to start a baseball game during the regular season and missed batting practice and showed up late. So, it is what it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I would imagine he'll be there an hour early on Friday this week before they go down to Dallas. But, when he did arrive, though, and after they got on the field, that was...
after they muffed the punt.
After the muff punt. That was... we keep coming back here and saying it, and I don't want to say that he's Baker by any means, but that was as good as anything Baker ever did on the field. Is that a hot take?
I don't know that Baker has ever faced a defense that has that shitty of speed in the secondary.
That's true.
Like, CeeDee Lamb should not be able to outrun an entire defense. I love CeeDee Lamb. He's a great player.
He's not that.
He's not Marquise
elite.
Brown.
Right.
Like, Marquise Brown looked like the fastest human that's ever lived on this planet when he was running that one long touchdown.
Have you guys watched the video of CeeDee Lamb's touchdown yet? Have you gone back and really looked
Just
at
the
it?
replays. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
When you do it, watch that safety.
I heard
who
people talking about this.
Yeah, he doesn't really go for CeeDee Lamb. He runs to the block. I don't know if I just didn't understand what he was thinking, but it looked like the dumbest play I'd ever seen. Like, he had a chance to at least force CD to change direction, and instead he just goes straight to the block, and CD just runs upfield, and it was done from there.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that play as if it was something really weird happened, but yeah, it was a strange play, and it worked out in OU's advantage. But Lee Morris runs down the middle of the field. It was just an onslaught. That secondary for Baylor is awful.
Yeah, they're not very good. The Murray, a couple of those balls though that he threw today were just. The ball to Marquise Brown down the sideline on the east side of the stadium was a perfect throw. I think it was like a 30-yarder,
40-yarder,
40-yarder.
Yep. You got
it. The throw to Calcaterra. That was a hell of a grab. And it's going to be interesting to see what's wrong with Grant moving forward, but that was a hell of a throw. The out route to just hitting CeeDee Lamb. Remember in the first couple weeks, or I guess it was just the first game against Florida Atlantic, he was a little hesitant on those little screen and bubble plays. I don't know if he's missed a throw like that. We'll have to wait for the Pro Football Focus stuff to come out, but I don't think he's missed that throw in 2 or 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah, the only one was Jalen Robinson late.
Yeah, and that went off. Did that go off his hand?
It went off his hand. It was sort of high. I don't know how they're going to grade it, but yeah, he was right on the money, and that's actually the only reason why I can't say it was like Baker at Texas Tech. A lot of these were short passes, and those guys just did a lot of running. They had good blocking downfield, made really nice cuts, and those 15-yard gains they became 40, 50, 60, and just a highlight reel after highlight reel with the touchdowns.
All right, it's early in the podcast. We're gonna get to a point though where we're gonna start talking about a lot of individuals. So let's go to this.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right, we could be split on this thing today. Josh McCuistion is now with us, and he it pretty much summed up a lot of our sentiments during the game today with his tweets about Tre Brown. I don't know if it's enough to be the player of the game, but damn, he was nice today. I mean, Josh, I don't know what it looked like on television. You weren't there, I know, but
that's my line. That's my line.
I like that.
Damn
line
it,
a lot,
my
though.
line.
But in person, like, we just haven't seen a guy with that burst break on the ball like he did today. And we knew he had that, but to see it actually on a college football field, like, we don't see that from Buki. We don't see that from, Trey Norwood. It was shocking to see it at times today.
OU apparently needs to recruit more dudes with the last name Brown. Like, those guys just look faster than everybody else. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But, though Trey, like I said, the thing I love about him is, the play that I think caught a lot of people's attention was that late one with Chris Platt, who can absolutely fly in his own regard.
Yep.
And he breaks up that pass. And then you've got the early in the game when he really gets a hand in on Denzel Mims and breaks up another play that was going to be a big gain for Baylor. Like, he's the only guy in that secondary that can do both. He can run with whoever you want to run with, and he can be physical if he needs to. I mean, and you watch him over and over again, he looks like the guy that if they were going to move somebody to safety, he should have been moved to safety. He tackles well. You rarely see him give up yards after the catch. I mean, he is clearly right now the best player in that secondary.
And that's what was so confusing, because he had 4 pass breakups, and then he doesn't even play to start the second half. They went back with Motley and Norwood. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but that's when Baylor scored its 2 touchdowns to start the second half.
I hate being that guy, but it was just so noticeably different when he's not on the field. I mean, I don't understand how, if he doesn't, I told Dylan Buckingham from Channel 4, we were down on the sidelines shooting video, and I told Dylan during the game, if Tre Brown doesn't start in Dallas next weekend, there should be a riot. Like, OU fans should start throwing things on the field. I'm not advocating that they do, but
can we be clear?
Different.
Can we be clear about who's making these personnel decisions? Look, Lincoln does the same thing that Bob did, which is he allows, and Mike does this too, they allow their position coaches to make personnel decisions. And
so it's Cooks.
It's Kerry Cooks that is deciding on who's playing. And I think, I don't know this, and I don't want to start some weird thing because everybody thinks that, like, Mike and I are like best buddies. But I don't think that he's particularly happy with the rotation that they've had at times. Like, he wants to see more of Tre Brown.
I completely think that's fair. I mean, there's been multiple times that Mike Stoops has talked about Tre Brown in a light that you don't hear him talking about guys like that very often.
And it's just weird because what we keep hearing is Norwood and Motley are more consistent in practice. That's what we've been told the last couple of weeks. And then with Army, Tre Brown missed it anyway, so it didn't matter. But,
right.
I mean, is that what they're going to say next Saturday against Texas? Well, Norwood and Motley were still more consistent in practice.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds a lot like Hugh Jackson leaving the Cleveland game this week, being like, we're going to have to see. We'll go back and watch the tape and see who the starter is. No. You know who this... Tre Brown has to be one of your starters. He just has to be. Nobody... can you guys think of one play anybody in that secondary made today that wasn't named Tre Brown?
Not off the top of my head.
I can't. I thought Khalil Houghton had a really nice big pop on a guy, the Jermichael Hasty kid. I think it was third quarter.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it was.
the only play I can think of when I was like, okay, that was a nice play by somebody in the secondary.
Motley had a nice pass breakup early in the game.
You're right. He did. But like I said, we're searching for it. I mean, you know what the deal is, and I just don't know how you have to look at it. But I will say, just to clarify for everybody listening out there, Carey started with this with the concern about his Mike, relationship. Is there, Bob, Eddie, I just want you to clear the air for everybody. Is Mike sitting in the house drinking an F5 somewhere right now?
It sure looks like it.
Okay, I thought so. I thought Carey was hiding this from all of us.
He didn't have an upside down visor.
Well,
he did
that's
walk
why he
into the
coached
place
better this week. He kept
flipping
the
off the
visor
place.
correct.
Carey, you want to start?
Mike, this was an interesting game.
Obviously not.
Because you
That's not Carey. What a great sound clip.
Okay, so Tre Brown, we all have our man crush on him. We have forever. We've been, championing him forever. Let's throw out some other names. Who are your possibilities for player of the game?
I mean, shit, you have to throw in Kyler. I mean, that was an unbelievable performance.
Might be
today.
a no-brainer.
By a backup quarterback.
Best backup performance in a long time since
long
Baker
time.
Mayfield.
That's one guy that I do feel confident they're going to bring off the bench and start him next week. So even if they don't with Trey, I feel like Kyler's going to get in the
Well, I was
lineup.
talking to a couple people down on the field, and I think he might start next week, to be honest, Josh.
He might have won that job, huh?
Yeah, yeah. This is the kind of performance that can, you can win a job from a guy like Austin Kendall. So
just trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, Marquise Brown and CeeDee Lamb were good today, but I don't know if you can necessarily throw them in the mix for player of the game wise. I mean, they just kind of did what they do usually. They had really nice days.
And if you went, with the first half, you could go Lee Morris. If you went with the second half, you could do Kennedy Brooks. But they both didn't play a whole complete game.
Another guy that deserves a mention is Ronnie Perkins.
Oh, man.
He was really, really good. I thought Mark Jackson had a really good game.
Yeah, besides the getting to the quarterback and not being able to bring him down. But, I mean, that's
he
stuff
did make up for it, but it was the worst possible screw up because he had a strip sack that was just waiting for him, didn't strip the ball, then he had the sack, didn't make the sack. Charlie Brewer gets away, runs around I can't even remember what happened. I think he might have ran for like 4 or 5 yards or something. But yeah, everybody talks about missed tackles all the time. That's when we're just like, wow, that's so symbolic of what OU's gone through this year.
Yeah, it was there for the taking.
And we've talked about him being one of the few guys that when he gets his hands on somebody, he's going to take them down. Like he's going to do the work. And I've agreed with it completely. He just whiffed on that one. Then again, Justin Broyles did the same late in the fourth quarter. He had Brewer dead to rights as well.
I think that happened to Bolton a time or two today too.
Broyles is another guy that it just seems like he's kind of in that Tre Brown, and maybe it's because he's a little bit flashier. You notice him talking after plays more, but I just feel like when those guys are on the field, they play better.
By the way, I don't think that Kenneth Murray ever wants to see JaMychal Hasty again on a football field. He dropped his jock at least 3 times today when he would change direction.
Yeah, they were over pursuing way.
Which is amazing because he had 17 tackles.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, but Hasty's one of those guys, and every conference has them, that like outside of the league, I don't think people really respect him. That dude's a really good player. Like
he's like a Texas Tech running back over the years.
There's no shame in Kenneth Murray not being able to make that tackle as often as not. I mean, most linebackers are not going to be able to. So I mean that's not a huge deal. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, he doesn't want to see that kid again. He's one of those guys that'll end up being an undrafted free agent. He'll make somebody's roster.
So is it? We have to name someone.
It's got to be Kyler.
It's got to be Kyler. I don't know how
player
you
of the
make
game. It is definitely Kyler Murray. I mean, on the day, was it 17 of 21, 432 yards, 6 touchdowns. What's amazing is if Trey Sermon would have scored right before the quarter ended there, he would have had 7 touchdown passes today.
Oh, shit. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Damn.
He came down at the 1 yard line.
I keep thinking that's
and they
a
got
run.
the face mask, so it was untimed. They had 2 untimed downs.
You won't see that very often.
Good Lord. That was the third quarter, right? That seemed to last forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kyler Murray, you are the Eskridge Lexus player of the game. Kyler, I know you have a lot of money. I'm going to tell you right now, they got some sweet deals going on at Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. You can go up there and get one of the brand new 2019 Lexus ESs and ES Hybrid that we drove to Wichita last week. These guys will tell you, amazing vehicle.
Great car.
I'm sure that I would have their full blessing to buy that as my next car if they knew they were getting to go to road trips in that one.
It was the most comfortable, I said this last week, it was the most comfortable armrest I've ever had in a car.
Not to mention the Apple CarPlay.
They need to put that on the commercial.
It really helps with bro trips. because you can stream
plenty of room to be
on
able
the
to
Bluetooth
chill.
and all that. You can watch games. You don't have
sure.
to listen to music that nobody likes. Eddie used to just put in earbuds when we'd go on trips, and I was fine with that. But now we figured out that watching sports is better. So anyway, give those guys a call, EskridgeLexus.com. Ed Eskridge, big fan of the podcast, a big Sooner Scoop guy. They've got these new 2019 Lexus ES and ES hybrids, 44 miles to a gallon, and you don't even notice it's a hybrid. I mean, that thing has great pickup, and you rarely have to. I mean, my car gets 30 miles to a gallon. I think it's awesome. It's a little IS. 44 miles to the gallon is ridiculous. And by the way, when you give Eskridge a call, make sure you tell them that you are a listener to the Sooner Scoop podcast, the unofficial 40 even, and they will take off all the dock fees on any transaction. So a lot of dealerships charge $300 to $800 and just extra, just total BS fees or charges. So they're family owned and operated. Big fans of the Sooners, big fans of the podcast. So EskridgeLexus.com. All right, so back to the post-game press conference, guys. We talked a little bit about the defense, and let's just talk about it overall. I mean, we mentioned a lot of the yards came late, and
153 in the fourth.
Wow, of the 400, and it ended up being over 493 total.
Yes,
Oklahoma had 607 total. Here's the thing, though, guys. It's another week where the defense spends a lot of time on the field. 101 snaps for Baylor, and only 54 for Oklahoma.
It's incredible.
You're already missing Kenneth Mann. You wonder, is this going to take a toll on Kenneth Murray at some point, because he's never been healthy, for a big part of his career. I mean, didn't even practice most of last year.
And
you wonder if it's going to catch up with OU at some point.
Didn't that feel that's why Curtis Bolton didn't play? It wasn't that he's like incredibly hurt.
That's a good.
But the more he keeps playing, the more he's going to wear down, and he hasn't been durable at all.
He's been hurt the whole time he's been at
since
OU.
coming to Norman, and you're not going to go with Brian Meade for almost 2 full quarters, and so there you go. You get Kelly playing, and now we sort of see what happens here moving forward, as Riley has been quick to say. It's a week-to-week thing.
Should be noted, too, they were without Ryan Jones today. That was just such a weird deal. It's like, as they're going through pregame, it's like, oh, God, Kenneth Mann's not out there.
Did they
Ryan
play
Jones
a Sam
isn't
at all,
out there.
though, today?
You had John Michael Terry out there quite a bit when it looked like it was going to be a run. We've said it before, the Sam's not going to get a lot of action against Big 12 teams, so Broyles was going to be out there. But when it was time, JMT 40 was indeed there.
Ryan Jones had his issues last week, there's no question. Carey, go back and watch John Michael Terry. I only noticed him twice on tape. One time he was trying to chase Charlie Brewer, and it looked like his feet were stuck in mud.
It was bad.
And then the other time, he got blocked almost into the brick wall right around the same time Curtis Bolton got hurt. It was the same drive when Bolton got hurt up against the wall in the end zone. He got driven into Oklahoma's sideline, and all I saw was just a guy flat on his back. And I was like, who is that? And I go back, and it was John Michael Terry, just gotten abused.
He never made a dent at middle linebacker, and you wondered, with that move, how is it going to play out? Because it did seem to be just like a body. Like, we just need a body out there. We need somebody to help practice. But you're right. I mean, when he comes into the game, my thought is he just looks, like he's running in sludge.
I know a lot of fans were hoping Deshaun White could be that guy. That's just way too much to ask that early in his career.
Well, I had somebody ask me, well, why didn't he come on when they thought Bolton was hurt? I'm like, man, I get that there's similar positions, there's a lot of parallels, but you can't just ask a freshman to go do something he's never done before, especially against Baylor, that's going to run all so many different looks at you, and that seems dangerous.
Did we play Lincoln talking about the defense?
I don't believe so.
Okay, here's
No,
Lincoln
I'd like to
Riley
hear it.
with kind of his thoughts on how the defense played tonight.
Lincoln, it seemed in the first half, defense played really well. Probably your low point was coming out of halftime there, but just overall, Tre Brown was really a factor for you today. You got some time for Caleb Kelly today. What was your overall impression of your defense?
Yeah, it was good to get Tre, Caleb, good to get Q Overton, Tyrese Lott, had a couple of those, guys back and out there. So I thought those guys all did a good job. Yeah, really excited about how we played in the first half, and excited about how we continue to harass the quarterback. We've done that, the majority of the year, and we're doing it with more than one guy, which is, that's big for us. That makes a big difference. So we still had, 3 or 4 times in the pocket that we got to get him down. And we had a lot of sacks and TFLs, but we should have had probably double that. But we're growing. Not real happy about how we played there like you said, at the beginning of the third quarter. That was, to me, the one spot. But we continue to do some good stuff on fourth downs, continue to create a lot of pressure, and we had a couple, Tre had one, had a chance to pick 6 it there on the other side. We're right on the verge of making even more big plays. So kind of like the whole team, kind of like the offense. We're making big plays, which is good. We're growing. We're progressing. I saw some absolute improvement from the last couple of weeks to this week, and we just got to keep building.
Difference a week can make, though, just as far as what we were saying a week ago during the postgame podcast, and then even on the unofficial 40, but today they have 6 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and it felt like they could have had at least 3 or 4 more, maybe even 4 or 5.
And here is Curtis Bolton after the game talking about the pressure they were able to dial up.
To be honest, it's not really frustrating like that. Just to be back there, just get pressure on them. One thing I grew up a pass rusher, so one thing my coach always taught me was you're not going to get a sack on every play, but the presence of you getting a sack is going to alter the quarterback's throw. He's gonna start looking. He's gonna stop looking downfield in the future, and he's gonna start looking at the rush. It just does so much to get there. It's not very frustrating when you're not getting home all the time, as long as you're beating your man and he's flushing or he's looking, he's nervous. He starts getting on his toes. He starts trying to force throws in. It's not, to answer your question, it's not frustrating. I just think we need to keep getting after the quarterback. I think we did a really good job of that today.
And they did. I've said this all along. We talked about OU not really having an edge presence. They got some of that from Mark Jackson today. But you've got to give credit to Bob Diaco, obviously, for dialing up pressure constantly like they did today. And really, it was the Iowa State. I kind of got into a fight with Mike in the postgame about this. Like, Iowa State's really the only team that kept a tight end and a running back in the backfield to max protect against some of that pressure, and that really helped them. And it helped them get those one-on-ones down the field with Parnell Motley and everybody on Hakeem Butler. But Baylor, they couldn't handle the pressure today.
No, they couldn't. And I think that's good news, because we were wondering, could they get pressure on the quarterback without really dialing up a whole lot of blitzes? And it seemed like they moved the pocket at least. And they're going to have to finish, obviously, down in the Cotton Bowl next week, but it was a step in the right direction. It's kind of what you hit on, Bob, in your story, was the fact that they took some baby steps today, and I think that that's a positive from where we were a week ago when we were bitching and complaining about everything.
Yeah, you mentioned the 6 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries, so that tells you they're definitely getting there, even if they're not always making the play. The one guy that does feel like he's going to make the play whenever he's back there, it is Ronnie Perkins. I would venture to say he has the least missed tackles so far this season. It seems like when he hits someone, they are going to go down.
Josh, it's amazing what happens when you get some guys in there that can play a little bit, just as far as recruiting and getting just instant impact playmakers.
Recruiting matters. I mean, you literally, that's what I was thinking about when Bob was saying it, and you led me right into it.
I'm a radio professional, Josh. That's what I do here.
The thing is if Ronnie can become that kind of pass rusher, then you start putting Oklahoma's defense in some third and long. If they can get to third and long, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, obvious passing situations. Well, you can get into scenarios where you have Kenneth Mann on one side and Ronnie Perkins on the other, and if you've got Mark Jackson playing like he did today, you can create some pressure with that group.
Yeah,
now, it may not it may not be like an oboe where it's going to come from the same guy time after time after time, but all 3 of those guys are capable of winning in the Big 12, and so I think you could see consistent pressure just being from one guy or the other guy.
I want to, Josh, you'll have a better idea than I, just because I think it's probably easier to watch this on television unfold. But Robert Barnes got in a little bit today. He got really lucky one time. I can remember,
really lucky
down the seam, and then I think that there was another time that there was a guy wide open right before halftime. I saw some people talking about it on Twitter, but that was kind of interesting the way that they were flipping the safeties in there today. And Khalil Hofton, as you said earlier, I mean, he made that play in the third quarter, and I turned to Dylan Buckingham, and I was like, I can't believe, I seriously didn't know he could do that.
You know, I thought, I made it it's in the report card from this week. I thought it was his best game of the season. I thought I didn't think he was great, but he was okay. He was solid. If he can play closer to that.
They can take that, can't they?
Yeah, Oklahoma can be okay if he can be that guy. Now, somebody told me, and I could never find it, but somebody told me that he had another one of those, he's standing and watching a play happen here again kind of moment. Mm-hmm. So, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to say that happened. It just somebody mentioned, hey, you might want to go see this. So, he may have one of those that Carey can rant about in the midweek pod again. But, I liked what I saw from him a lot. I thought, you guys mentioned it, and I really didn't talk about it earlier. I thought Justin Broyles had some good moments. It's weird. Like I said
when you can
earlier,
force another team to rip your helmet off on the sideline, you had a pretty decent day.
But that's the thing.
my opinion.
That's the thing with Broyles. He either makes the play or he looks bad.
Hey,
it
listen,
seems to be no in between.
I'd rather have a guy mixing it up after a play like that than getting over there late and then slapping his hands because he did get over there late. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, let's do this so Eddie can finish eating his pizza.
I think they just.
The game is over. The stats are in. Now it's time to grab a Coop Ale Works beer and raise a glass to our play of the game.
Excuse me while I finish my Oktoberfest that I am enjoying immensely tonight. I've got the Oktoberfest going. Josh, I should have, with you in town, I should have gotten you just like a pallet of Coop to take home with you.
I was with the buddy that's the Coop Ale guy, so I was.
Look at him name dropping.
I'm saying that's why there was it was flowing the other night. There was plenty of it around. So and I got suggestions from everybody. I think the Horny Toad Blonde, is that right? I think that's the one I've been told that if I'm going to drink one, that's probably the one up my alley.
Yeah, it's like if you've grown up drinking Bud and Coors and Miller, like if you like that kind of style, you're used to that kind of beer, go get a Horny Toad Blonde because it will just blow you away. It's like the best possible example of drinking just like a domestic beer.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's just a weird thing because I drink whiskey just straight up all the time.
I do too,
and I love it. I have no problem with it. Strong beer, it's just not my thing. So but the F5 kind of surprised me because it was strong, but it was still good. I liked it.
I'm telling you, you're a whiskey guy. I'm a whiskey guy. I don't know if it'll immediately grab you, but go get the DNR next time you're around here.
Okay.
Because it is like liquor beer. I mean, it like has so many different notes and tastes, and it's very deep, and I don't have the vocabulary for it. I'm sorry.
No.
But it's really good. It's just a great beer to sit and sip on, like while you're watching TV and get ready to go to bed. Coop Ale Works is a great sponsor to the postgame show and to the unofficial 40. They were one of the first people that signed on and said, hell yeah, we want to be a part of what you guys are doing. We love everybody that's out there on social media that tweets at us and tags Coop Ale Works with whatever they're drinking. We've had several people do that before we recorded the pod today. But Coop Ale Works, they're a 9-year-old craft brewery in Oklahoma City. They got 7 year-round beers, 4 seasonals. I'm enjoying the Oktoberfest tonight. Eddie's got the F5 IPA, which is his favorite. But I love the Horny Toad Blonde. I love the Native Amber. I even like the DNR. It's just kind of a late night kind of nightcap thing. But make sure you stock up your tailgate with some of Coop's F5 IPA, the Horny Toad Blonde. And remember, October 1st, just on Monday, you're going to be able to go to your local liquor store and get these right out of the fridge. Take them home cold. Don't have to sit and wait for hours for them to. You don't have to dip them in the freezer for a little bit to get them to go quicker. So it's a big deal. And they got the 12 packs. If you look, I know, been to several places in Norman, the Cellar, Spirit Shop. A lot of people have the 12 packs too. So go check it out.
Big League City, Big League State.
But we actually have to have a play of the game, which is going to be tough because there were so many big plays in this game.
Yeah. Jeez, I don't think it can't be a muff punt. I mean, obviously that was kind of I don't even want to say it was a turning point, but that was a big play.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Here, I'm gonna throw one
I know
out there.
mine.
I'm gonna go with Kennedy Brooks.
Okay.
His 49-yard touchdown run, because look, for all the things that this offense does, and I understand, Lincoln Riley said this after the game, like they could, they allowed them to throw the ball like they did, and they tried to take away some of the run game. Trey Sermon, more times than not, has not looked like a number one back. And I think Kennedy Brooks, to me, is a guy that really is a true between the tackles runner. I think he can develop it. He still needs to get bigger, but I think he could develop into the best between the tackles running back on this roster. And the thing with Trey Sermon is he can get you big runs, but to me, Kennedy Brooks, watching him tonight, I saw a guy that can go for 80 in the blink of an eye, and there's nobody like that on the roster.
I put it on the board earlier. Sooner 55 was talking about it. There were a couple plays, and I'll put up all the video on the board.
That cut that he made in the middle of the field.
He's done it twice now. He did that against Florida Atlantic in the fourth quarter.
That's like big time pro, traditional running back cut that he made when he stuck his foot in the ground, just changed direction. Like that's classic traditional running back move that only really good running backs have.
There were a couple plays tonight that Trey Sermon I don't want to say he doesn't hit the hole hard enough, but he kind of just...
He's overly patient at times.
He's too patient. And if that's Rodney Anderson, he breaks off a 20, 25-yard run, maybe a touchdown. Kennedy Brooks, though, did the same thing. He would hit the hole, and then all of a sudden he breaks through. And I think that's something interesting to watch. He could end up being that guy before it's all said and done in the backfield. And, the question marks around Marcellus Sutton continue. I don't think he even played tonight. And then you have TJ Pledger. They're still trying to work him in, but
yeah, I think he might be one of those running backs that just needs carries to kind of get going and feel comfortable.
Wouldn't the story kind of write itself though if Kennedy Brooks went down to the Cotton Bowl, back to his hometown, and had a really big day next week?
Here's Lincoln Riley talking about Kennedy Brooks' role and what it could be moving forward.
Lincoln, do you expect Kennedy Brooks to be more involved moving forward?
It's very possible. I think we all had a little bit of a hunch that once we could get him a shot or two, that I don't think anybody's real surprised. So he's got he was one of you ask a lot of high school coaches in the DFW Metroplex area, a lot of them say he's one of the best backs that they ever played against. And you're talking about some coaches that have been around a long time and a great level of ball. So he's got some great skills with the ball, and he's becoming a more complete player. And I thought the other guys did some good things too. We were so close a couple times on Pledgers, Sermon a little bit. They were attacking it pretty good early, and that's why some of the throw game stuff was as good as it was. But he had maybe the play of the game on the play right before was at the end of the third quarter. That was just a huge play on the swing pass that he brought back across the field. So yeah, that group's building. Excited about the way they're playing.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I did this for the show's good because I just thought it'd be good to bring up Kennedy Brooks. He can't be the play of the game, though. I mean, he just can't. I'm sorry. You weren't even doing it against the starters.
No, that's fine.
I'm going with the play we've referenced once tonight. That is the CeeDee Lamb 86-yard touchdown catch.
I like that.
Because it's everything.
Bastard.
And they were
it's
backed
everything.
up, too.
Because it was 3rd and 6.
Yeah, it was.
It's 28-16. Baylor just scored 10 in a row after back-to-back possessions.
Yeah, that's good.
And then Trey Sermon picks up the blitz to give Kyler the time. I mean, it was a complete play.
That was an unbelievable blitz pickup.
Just a complete play, and everything and then Brown with the block. Even if you think the safety was an idiot, Marquise was still willing.
He was blocking an idiot, yeah.
He was still willing to do it. And then Lamb, who's never going to burn people, able to go 86 yards. That was the perfect play.
So no votes for Austin Kendall?
Doing what?
Starting?
He handed off to Kennedy Brooks really nicely in the second half.
I could have done that. I did kind of feel bad for him.
Mom's gonna come after you on Twitter now.
She's private. She won't find it. I did kind of feel bad though, because after I think it was after the Marquise Brown first touchdown in the second quarter, I looked over and he had his hat back on, and it was just kind of like, well, I knew this shit was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt it felt kind of weird, but it was. I mean, I was going to say he didn't do bad, but then, I mean, he threw 2 balls right off his back foot.
Yeah.
When that fumble happens, do you think he runs to Lincoln and he's like, technically we didn't change possession. Technically we never lost a damn ball.
Starts petitioning to get himself back in the game.
He's like, that ball is mine. Let me go.
Lincoln's like, motherfucker, get over to the sideline.
As soon as that ball left Austin's feet, you're done for the day.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're done. And you're done.
All right, so our Coop Ale Works play of the game goes to CD Lamb. I'm not sure he's old enough to drink beer. I don't know if he's 21 yet.
I would think not. He's old enough to eat a Pizookie, and he eats those things like they're going out of style.
Like those things from
BJ's.
BJ's, yeah.
Like the cookie brownie with ice cream on top of it.
And let us not besmirch. If anybody was going to think of saying something awful about a Pizookie, that is a truly delicious thing.
Yeah. I've never had one.
Oh my god!
Oh god,
Get the Oreo.
People have told me
don't
about
get
them.
one because you'll eat one every night.
Get the
Exactly.
Oreo.
So CD Lamb 86-yard touchdown reception is our Coop Ale Works play of the game. Okay, guys. I just looking at kind of what we haven't covered and what I kind of had planned out. I think the injuries. I mean, obviously, Kenneth Mann out today. Ben Powers out today. As you mentioned when we were talking about play of the game, you didn't see Marcellus Sutton do anything today, and that is interesting. It's kind of 2 weeks in a row he hasn't really been involved.
Yeah.
And then coming out of this thing, I mean, Neville Gallimore got hurt towards the end. Grant Calcaterra got hurt, came back in, then got yanked, and
Ryan Jones
came back in. And went
Ryan
back out.
Jones was not dressed out today.
A whole lot of questions.
Were you going to play audio?
Yeah, I've got Lincoln talking about, in particular, Ben Powers.
Because I have a theory.
And Kenneth Mann.
Lincoln, what was the issues with Powers and Mann? Are they out long term or just?
We don't know. We don't know yet. We're just kind of have to see how they respond. It ended up not being very close for this game for either one of them. So they're obviously important pieces, but if they're not available long term, we're going to have to, we're just going to have to do what we did today. We're going to have to plug holes. Guys are going to have to step in and go play.
Gamesmanship.
I
think that's gamesmanship.
To say he wants to make it out like they're probably not going to be back.
OU Texas week. I think that's gamesmanship.
They're starting. Yeah, I bet I'm with Eddie completely.
And I'll just throw this out there. Both of those guys were very, very active on the sidelines. Ben Powers was the first guy out after a touchdown. Kenneth Mann was the first guy meeting defenders out on the sidelines and stuff after big plays. It just, I don't know. It was kind of weird. They definitely weren't being labored by anything. Like there was not a leg injury or a hand injury or anything like that.
Concussion? Oh
no, I can tell you Ben Powers is a knee, and it's just a ding, and he is expected to be back for Texas, from according to people I talked to.
Okay.
Kenneth Mann, like the thing is, Lincoln
Carey's
made it.
broke news.
Yeah, believe it or not,
pod.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I broke some news.
Not on the forum, not on the message board.
Sorry,
you did it on the pod.
I haven't had a chance to get on the damn forums yet because
you did it on the pod.
So yeah,
this is free.
Fine, I'll go put it on the.
Just put it on the board, and they'll never
put it on the board, and they'll never notice. They'll just bitch
until
at me
they hear this
and threaten to cancel.
Oh, that's actually true. The take 3 on Mondays, I have to bite my tongue a bit.
So, the thing about that, that we just played is. Like, Lincoln kind of made it out like they had similar issues. Did you not get that feeling from him?
Yes, I did.
Initially, when I heard it, when he mentioned it in the post-game press conference, I thought, was that almost kind of sounded like it was discipline.
Right. That I was almost about to, was it a physical issue? I was almost ready to ask
Because the
that.
way
Maybe they're responsible for getting Kyler Murray if he oversleeps.
You
and
think
they
you
failed
think
their
there's
duties.
a inside job that for Austin Kendall hired out people to make the alarm not go off in the morning? Because
Well, let's see what Colin Cowherd says tomorrow.
Well, Monday, yeah, and dumbass be talking, I'm sure, but it just seemed weird to me, like the way that he said that we faced some adversity, and I don't know, it was just strange.
The one thing about Man, of course, Ryan Aber requested him Tuesday evening, and Mike Houck.
And I said this when it happened.
There's a he said there's a reason. There's a valid reason. I think that's how he phrased it. Why Kenneth
He
Mann?
said I did everything I could.
Well, he said there's a reason why Kenneth Mann is not here tonight. This was beyond when he said he did what he could.
And
to
I
help,
said at the
to help
time,
us.
I said he's probably hurt.
And I said, maybe Army took it out of these guys once the adrenaline wore off.
Yeah. So I think they'll both play. And I can't. Kenneth Mann had such a great game in that game a year ago. I think he got the pressure that Obo ended up getting the interception out of midair. Maybe.
Yeah, you did. Down at the Cotton Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wait, you talking Bedlam?
No,
I'm talking
the
Red Rivers.
Cotton Bowl.
But he didn't. But Mann hit Mason Rudolph that Obo ended up picking it off.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Are you guys both thinking of the wrong game at the same time?
I think the same thing happened at OU Texas. Unless it was somebody else besides Mann.
I can't remember.
I thought Obo had a pick.
Come on, Josh.
Texas.
Josh, chime in here.
I know Mann had a sack against Texas. I remember he had a really good game.
There's someone yelling at me right now.
There's someone out there that's watched that game 7,000 times that knows every play. That's just like those are the people that always get the maddest. I'm like, dude, I covered the game and then I never watched it again. Okay, so I don't have a photographic memory like you do because you've seen it 7,000 times during the offseason.
Okay, no, so I was wrong too. Kenneth Mann had 3 tackles, 3 solos.
I don't remember him doing
one quarterback hurt.
I don't remember him
He had
doing
no sack.
anything against Texas. I remember Obo falling down from exhaustion and time again in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And there were no interceptions by anyone on Oklahoma's roster in that game.
Right.
All right.
Fine.
All right.
It's Bedlam.
Get all uppity. That's fine.
It was a huge play in Bedlam, though.
But just to remember, Obo had 5 quarterback hurries along with a sack in that game.
But you weren't there, Josh.
Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? It's time for the AMC Mortgage Stock
damn it.
Report.
I loaded the wrong thing. I burned you so hard, Josh. I was getting ready to just cut you out.
And you mic dropped me as well. Like I couldn't even retaliate. Like it was just to the oh crap, we're a new segment. And I don't know what I'm doing here, so I don't know when I'm supposed to talk and when I'm not. It's just awful. I'm messing everything up.
No, I mean this is just like this is really no different than the unofficial 40. We got segments, we got stock reports, which is the most popular segment of the show.
Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? It's time for the AMC Mortgage Stock Report. If you're on the move, check in with AMC Mortgage for all your home loan needs.
All right, it's time for the stock report brought to you by Cal McCord with AMC Mortgage, NMLS number 1256166, an equal housing opportunity lender. Kyle's a personal friend of mine. He's done loans for a lot of my on-air colleagues. He loves Oklahoma. In fact, I don't want to give too much. I always want to say something. I don't want to give too much away. I want people to have a little bit of mystery. But he's been originating loans in Oklahoma for over 16 years. In addition to just standard, conventional FHA and VA and jumbo financing, they also specialize in first-time home buyers and loans requiring down payment assistance. Now, give him a call, 405-623-3802. That's 405-623-3802. It's Kyle McCord with AMC Mortgage. And if you're looking for a new home or need some financing help, give him a call, 405-623-3802. And guys, Josh will let you take your maiden voyage into stock up and stock down and nominate anyone. We'd like one of each that you can call today. And if Tre Brown, I'm going to stab you in the neck. But go ahead and make your picks.
Well, up is I'm going to take the one that I think everyone's going to want to grab, and that's Kennedy Brooks. I mean, I agree completely with what we were talking about earlier. He looks like a potential feature back, and I think that's something where Trey Sermon's such a great change of pace. I just don't know that he's ever going to be the number one guy that OU needs. As far as stock down, for me, probably a little bit of Parnell Motley. Like, I kind of keep waiting for him to become that guy that we heard about 2 years ago as a difference maker, and I'm just not seeing it. I see a guy that he's okay. He's not killing Oklahoma or anything, but he's just not making many plays, and he's a mediocre tackler at best.
Don't you think that has a lot to do with his size too, though?
Oh, sure. I mean, some of it, and it's the same deal with Trey Norwood, Carey. I mean, he's like,
yeah.
I mean, you put him on Jalen Hurd. How the hell is he supposed to make that play? Jalen Hurd's a monster.
Although it is weird that they played him a lot at running back today when he's, all we heard was he was leaving to make the switch to receiver.
Oh, he's played running back quite a bit for Baylor so far. But he's been used also as receiver, and that's where he's starting to really make his mark. But I think they probably looked, hey, he had success doing this when he was at Tennessee. Why not give it a whirl here?
All right, Bob, your stock up, stock down.
Same position. Up, Lee Morris. Down, Grant Calcaterra. Where Calcaterra just might not be better than Lee Morris. Is that amazing to say? That Calcaterra just might not be. He had the drop for Austin Kendall, and then he had the touchdown catch, which was an incredible catch. We all know that. Then whatever the injury was, and he comes back in the second half and has the drop. I mean, Lee Morris just catches everything, takes him to the end zone. I don't know what to think of Calcaterra after 5 games.
Eddie?
Man,
he stole your thunder.
Everybody took the good ones. There are none left. Let's go. I mean,
you gotta have somebody that's got. I mean, like there's
Ronnie
other people.
Perkins.
Yeah.
Well,
you can't give him all his. You can't do his homework for him.
I like that. Thank you, Josh.
I took one from him, so
that's a Northwest Oklahoma City thing.
Whatever.
I feel you on that.
You know what? I enjoy going last because it's a challenge.
I'll go Ronnie Perkins. He is a guy that it's becoming increasingly obvious that he needs to be on the field as much as possible, and I think that he's a guy that he can move the pocket a little bit. Obviously, he can get after the quarterback, and I think that that's going to be really important moving forward. He's just a guy that even when you just see him out there, it's like that's what the guys should look like. That's what defensive tackles at this level should look like. And I thought he's been impressive. It'll be interesting how he plays in a big game, but usually those are the types of guys that kind of rise to the top when it gets to nut cutting time. So I'm going to go with Ronnie Perkins. Do I have to go stock down as well?
Sure.
Stock down. Let's go Neville Gallimore. He's still just like, let's stay on the defensive line. He's there. He's just another guy. He's not necessarily doing a whole lot. And I think that, he certainly, I thought that Neville Gallimore was going to have the type of season that Ronnie Perkins is having. Does that make sense?
We have Pro Football Focus in. He had the second worst grade among all the starters. Only Kenneth Murray was worse. Which I think Kenneth Murray's really getting dinged here because all those Jermichael Hasty whiffs that he had. And he missed the quarterback a little bit. I mean, he could have played better. He had a bunch of tackles. I'll go with my stock up. Man, I could actually get 2 in here if I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Caleb Kelly, stock up. I thought he played really well. Was all over the field. A little bit probably overhyped because of the big hits that he had, especially the one on Charlie Brewer. But I'll be honest. I don't think the red shirt plan is a good idea.
It's not happening. He has 1 game left. He's going to play in 1 more game. He's going to play.
I mean, he's a good enough talent with all these kids. Look at all these kids that leave early that don't get drafted now. I mean, you think Caleb Kelly's not going to be a guy? You think he wants to stay around here 5 years to go to the NFL? I think even after if they don't play him this year, my guess is even though he might take over the starting position, for Curtis Bolton next year, that no matter what kind of year he has, he puts his name in the NFL draft.
And if Kelly doesn't play, like, I don't know what would happen to Curtis Bolton the rest of the way. We're now not even halfway through the season, and we're already starting to see a little bit of signs that he's just on the field way too much. It's just not necessary.
Is there no possible way that they can get both of those guys on the field at the same time? I mean, is that...
They'd have to move him to strong side linebacker.
That's probably not going to happen, right?
And when it's in the Big 12...
In the Big 12, now if they're in the Big 12, you don't need them. Yeah.
That's the Ryan Jones spot where it's like, well, you're not really going to be needed.
True enough.
My stock down.
Don't you say Carson Meyer.
I wasn't, but man, no. Now
you should.
I've got my stock down. I had it before my stock up, and I hate doing this because he's been so good, but Cody Ford's stock went down today.
Yep, good one.
He did not. He had a penalty. I think he might have had a personal foul, but he did not have a particularly good day today against not great competition. I don't know what's going on with him, but it was just an off day for him. And Bill Bedenbaugh told us last week he's been his most consistent performer. So stock down. Sorry, Cody, but stock down for you.
Is there any reason, I mean, do we need to play an outro here? I mean, is there any reason to be worried about the offensive line?
They have to get a running back. They have to have a running game with a running back. I mean, this was a offensive line the last 2 years. They were known for being able to do whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, to whoever they wanted, and they don't have that reputation anymore. And it's not because they don't have good players. It's because they don't run the football on a consistent basis. I almost hate seeing this team that way.
You know, we had the knock on Baylor getting 153 yards of offense in the fourth quarter. The Sooners had 87 rushing yards in the fourth quarter. They only had 88 through the first three. When the game was
and that's
actually...
because of Kennedy Brooks?
Right. When the game was actually being played, they only had 88 yards.
That's a good... If you were going to say Kennedy Brooks needs X touches against Texas, how many would you say?
It's still hard for me to gauge him because he did so much damage.
What did Trey
against
Sermon
backups.
have today? 6? 8?
He had eight carries for 19 yards. The long of 8.
They're not giving anybody double-digit touches. It's just weird. It's like, I mean, Lincoln calls so much stuff in the run game for Kyler. They don't ever get anything going with the running back.
But it's so much fun to watch Kyler.
It is.
A couple of those runs today, the 3rd and 12, where he got back into the middle
He's
of the
the most
field.
dynamic part of their running game. There's no doubt about it.
Fumbled snap, and he takes it 20 yards.
I was fixing to say that fumbled snap probably should have gotten some talk for play of the game.
It will be in my top 5 plays tomorrow morning.
The play is botched. He fumbles the snap. Everything's out of line. He picks the ball up off the ground, and a 22-yard run was a disappointing result for what could have come out of that play.
Because he wanted a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and he was a breath away from having it. I mean, it was... That was ridiculous.
You know who would have been able to make that play?
There's no other quarterback that makes that play in college football.
Landry Jones would not have been able to make that play.
We had this discussion.
Got back to the line of
we had this discussion down on the field.
Wait, what?
Landry Jones would have fell on the ball. It would have popped out of his stomach, and then
the
Baylor
defensive lineman would have picked it up
back.
and fat guy touchdowned it.
Well, but we wouldn't have known at the time that it actually popped out because of his massive tattoo work, and it was a little tender when he fell on it. So it was
true. It's true.
We never miss a shot at Landry Jones.
God. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
bastards.
Everybody's going to go to church in the morning, and he's going to pray for us, and everything will be all ills will be righted.
Are you sure you're okay to drive home, Eddie?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, I am mad because my Oktoberfest ran out a long time ago, so that means it's time to end the show. Josh, thanks for being a part of your first podcast, your first post game.
Josh, with a win like that,
get blood all
and the visitors they have in town, change your mind at all about what Sunday and Monday could look like?
Not really. I've kind of talked to a few people already, just kind of getting some early feedback, and it sounds like everything's going really well. I know, Bob, you confirmed, everybody came in, everybody, there was no late changes on the official visitor list. But from what I hear, everything's going well. So, we'll see. Usually it's more Sunday morning when I start hearing, okay, something might pop here, that kind of thing. So we'll see. They'll go out and, party and have a good time tonight. And we'll kind of know once everybody starts to wake up if it's just a hangover or something actually might come about tomorrow.
Anybody want to guess on the number that everyone is always obsessed with now?
The missed
tackles for this game.
9.
I'm going to go 6.
I like that 9, so I'm going to go 11.
So we all thought that it was a relatively good game. There were some missed tackles here and there, but overall it was a relatively clean tackling
Yeah, it just
game.
looked like it was glaring when it actually happened.
Ooh, I just saw
Guess
it.
what?
Wow.
It's 20.
What?
20. I think that's the highest of the year.
Jesus Christ.
Did they watch
20 missed
Ames?
tackles.
Did they watch the game in Ames?
They had 100 snaps on offense.
That's true. 20, that's a lot.
That's
Houghton
true.
had 3, Broyles had 3,
And everything
Murray
they
had
do is
3.
in space.
Broyles did miss quite. That's what I'm saying about Broyles. He either gotcha or he wasn't even close.
I was impressed. Buki, early in the game, they threw a little screen to the side. He
did
actually
a great
bodied the
job.
guy up and
He did
didn't
a
pretend like he was going to go in there and knock his block
Well, he did a
off.
great job of not being blocked on it.
Yeah.
So that way he could.
And then he
make the
held the
tackle.
guy up.
Yep.
He was trying to tackle him, but
Yep.
eventually other people got to it. So
Wow, that's really
20.
surprising.
Yeah, 20. That's got to be the most surprising because I would never have thought that.
I want to know if there's different guys doing different games, and these people that are tracking missed tackles on this one weren't the same people.
They were like
in-
offensive guys or
yeah,
something?
that were in Ames two weeks ago. Because Ames, I felt, was a lot bigger errors were being
It was, what,
being made.
13?
You always wonder, though, Bob, like how much of your opinion is affected by, because unless you're keeping count, and I'm certainly not, how much of it is like my perception, because the tackling in Ames, it was at the worst times. Parnell Motley's one-on-one with Akeem Butler. Oh, okay, they missed that one. It seemed like the tackles are so huge that you tend to think, okay, it was awful all the way. But like we talked about in the pod, or at least we talked about in the midweek pod after that one, it was, you take those 2 big misses out, and that it wasn't that bad of a defensive performance against Iowa State. It wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as it seemed.
By the way, any quick thoughts on Big 12 play today before we get out of here?
I think Texas.
So wait,
I don't want to.
19-14
I don't want to say they
is what
turned the
Texas ends up
corner by
winning.
any means.
They were
but
up 19-0, and
Texas
then
didn't
what
score.
happened?
Texas
Then
didn't
what
score in
happened?
the second half.
Yeah.
Kansas State scored 14 points.
I don't get that.
I think it's going to be a hell of a game next weekend.
I know you look at Ellinger's numbers; they are just dreadful. Like
29 of 36 for 207 and a touchdown.
29 completions for 207. I mean, you would never see that in Norman.
I can tell you we're going to find out if Oklahoma can win a game in the high 20s, low 30s. They're not going to put up 50 on Texas.
Yeah.
That defense is really good.
I think Texas is starting to play a little bit better. Just, I would even go as far to say throw out the Maryland game. I think they're starting to play a little bit better. They beat a terrible USC team, but they've done what they needed to do. A Texas team over the last 10 years would have gone up to Manhattan today and gotten beat by a program that is being drugged down by an old man. But
let's not get into the ages stuff again.
It has everything to do with age. They should take his name off the stadium because it's embarrassing what he's doing to that program. But
did you see they took him out and immediately the kid went down the field?
Yeah, imagine that. They're playing the wrong quarterback.
By the way,
the other thing, West Virginia did exactly what I thought they would do today.
They let up and almost got beat, right?
Well, yes, but Texas Tech,
and that was without Bowman in there.
They're better, but I mean, I don't put a whole lot into that win. That was about what Oklahoma State did.
Texas Tech was getting their asses whipped. I mean,
right.
3/4 of that game.
Right.
But I will say West Virginia is improved defensively. That's not a bad defense. They're not great. They're not what some people were trying to make them out to be, but they're okay.
They always are this time of year.
And that's fair. They do
that
tend to
is
wear
true.
down. And I think that's part of it. I mean, it's kind of like we talked about with OU with their depth. West Virginia has even less than Oklahoma. They have even fewer frontline type guys.
By the way,
by the end of the season, they're worn down.
I think the worst thing possible happened for Oklahoma State today. Just they played
Corndog played
a
well.
crappy team, and Taylor Cornelius went out and played lights out.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on
That's
that.
just like fool's gold.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
All right, that's.
Oh, by the way, just looking over scores from around the country, Louisiana Tech 29,
North Texas.
North Texas 27.
La Tech gets
everybody was on North Texas this week. Except for you, huh?
I don't think Mason Fine's going to be winning the Heisman. How dumb is that?
Well, that's not that's a small group of people.
It's still asinine to even put it out there.
It's kind of, would you say small or singular?
The quarterback, what we know about the Heisman Trophy, the quarterback from North Texas should never even be mentioned to be in that. Sorry.
I think Mackenzie Milton needs to be mentioned more.
Yeah, he's from Central Florida. He's not going to be invited.
He's really good.
He might be really good, but
he shouldn't
have gone
invited.
to Central Florida.
Right now, I'd put him number one.
You got Tua, you got Murray, you got Greer.
How many did you have before we came over here?
You'd put who? You'd put Milton number one?
Yes.
He just said it.
That's asinine.
Right
you in
now,
the stadium today?
now, if Tua keeps doing what he did, or what he's doing,
Kyler Murray's the best quarterback in the country.
It's hard to argue that. He's
I
one
wouldn't
of
argue
them.
against
You
it. but
just
I agree
did.
with
You
where
said
Carey's-
Milton.
Mackenzie Milton is amazing.
I agree with where Carey's going though, because Tua.
Look, if Mackenzie Milton leads UCF to 2 straight undefeated regular seasons, he should be in New York.
I don't have a problem with that. Him being a finalist, that's okay.
Eddie's mouth is full
He
of
goes to
free
Central
pizza.
Florida. He's not going to be invited to New York.
All right, that's going to do it for the pod because Eddie and I are not going to scream at each other.
If they invite Mackenzie Milton over a guy
Yes.
like Ed Oliver,
Yes.
that's the most criminal
Over
thing.
Ed Oliver?
Ed Oliver's the best player in the country.
Well, he's going to get.
It's not really close.
He's going to get paid. You know,
He's going to get paid.
He's going to get it in money. Like the Heisman's not for him.
See,
The money is for him.
But yeah, that's cool. But
He probably is
tell
already
me,
getting money.
Like in 09, and
You think Fertitta's not paying
won
him?
the damn.
Yeah, he's set up. Fertitta's going to set him up for life. Give him investing.
Josh, you think
opportunities.
Kelly Bryant tries to transfer to Clemson this week?
That kid's feeling like, oh, I've just screwed everything up horribly.
I guarantee Dabo Swinney goes and tries to recruit him tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
To come back.
Come back, sit out a year. Come on.
And I love that Dabo.
I guess he
Dabo
hasn't
in the
technically
postgame was
transferred.
like,
Yeah,
oh, we're
rejoined
not-
the team.
Yeah.
Did he get out of school? Did he get out?
But if it's just a concussion for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, is that all it was?
I think so.
I don't think you can. That was so nasty. You can say concussion. It's got to be more than that.
Clemson's not as good as they were 2 years ago, and I don't know if they're as good as they were last year. Their defense is really good.
Luckily,
their
they play
defensive
in
line
a
is really good.
god-awful conference.
Their secondary is awful. They would not last in the Big 12.
They're not going to play a ranked team, I don't think, until
Yeah, I think you're right.
the championship game.
Well, Ohio State, I mean, have you seen their schedule now that they got past Penn State?
It's Cupcake City.
Oh, my God.
Oh, get ready, folks. Them and Notre Dame would be the talk of the town because they beat. I saw Bryce Love got hurt tonight. That's interesting.
First time for everything.
What a shocker.
What a shocker.
Who was it? It was one of the it doesn't matter. Anyway, one of the national sports writers was like, his notoriously frail ankles were hurt again tonight.
Whoever that is, they just went up in my book.
All right, we got to get the hell out of here because I got to still upload this shit tonight. So, all right. Thanks, guys, for being a part of it. Thanks, Josh, for being a part of it. You're welcome back anytime.
I don't know. I don't
Sunday
know.
after. Look,
we're going to let the people judge if that's sincere. I'm not sure
I
I
love this
believe it.
podcast. We will say this. Next week, we'll be doing the podcast on Sunday because all we can tell you is it'll be out Monday morning by the time you go into work. So just because of schedules and by the way, Bob, condolences.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thoughts to you and your family. Your grandfather passed away, and I know you're going to go up and see your dad. And we were talking about with DSKOU the other day. His dad passed in the middle of the game, but just being there for your dad, I know it will help you feel better, and I'm glad that you're going to get a chance to go up and do that. So we'll be thinking about you and your family this week.
Yeah, I will not be a part of the unofficial 40, but I will be back in time for Saturday morning.
All right, well, that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. We'll be back on Wednesday for another edition of the Unofficial 40. Make sure you subscribe to both the Eskridge Lexus Oklahoma Sooners Postgame. Look it up in iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, and Oklahoma Sooners Unofficial 40. Those are our two podcasts. Go like, subscribe, rate, review. We're due some rating and review reads. Maybe we can do that Wednesday with Bob gone because there are some genuine gems out there. So thanks, Josh, for joining us. Thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Bob. I'm Kerry Murdoch, and we'll see you guys next week after the Red River rivalry. A huge game coming up this week. See you then.